So I've kind of wanted to make a video on this topic for a while now, but I felt that it's a bit of a tricky one to talk about, and I've always been worried that I won't be able to explain it as succinctly as I would like to. So today I have Rara with me to help me explain. Hello Rara. So what I'm talking about is astral projection or out-of-body experiences and my thoughts on that. So what are my thoughts on astral projection? Basically I don't give a shit. Good night. No, that's sort of the TLDR version. But to explain that further, what I mean by that is I really don't care too much what people think of this subject or what people want to interpret this subject as. Now for me, I can't really believe in something unless I have a sufficient amount of evidence to back it up. So when it comes to astral projection and out-of-body experiences, I would say that typically, no, I don't believe those to be true. But at the same time, oh, there's a moth. But at the same time, I'm not somebody who's going to say, no, there's no chance that this could ever be possible, because at the same time, I don't know these things. How can I? But it's a subject that comes up a lot in lucid dreaming communities, and I know that Spacetime Badass recently did a video on this, and there's often a lot of conflict in the community when it comes to this subject. If you look at various online forums and Facebook groups, a lot of the time in the lucid dreaming groups there are people talking about astral projection and out-of-body experiences, and you get people who say that they are the same thing, you get people who say they are completely different things, you get people who say they're different but they're related, you get people who feel very strongly about these. And from my point of view, as somebody who, yes, I do fall on the science side of things, I do need to be able to, as I said, see clear evidence. I need to be able to understand the process in order for me to truly believe in something. Now I know there's been lots of research over the years and experiments, all the things that Robert Monroe did, I can't remember the people's names, but whoever it was who looked into dream telepathy. There is a lot of stuff there. There's obviously stuff from all over the years in different cultures and different spiritual practices that do back things up to a degree, but there's still nothing concrete. There's still nothing that says absolutely that this is what is happening. So that's just my personal take on it, but I'm not one of those people who is going to say, if you feel you've had an astral projection, if you feel you've had an out-of-body experience, I'm not going to be one of those people to come along and tell you that no, this isn't what has happened, because I understand that with these things they can be very personal, and I don't want to invalidate your experience, and also I don't really see what I would get from that by doing that. Now, when it comes to research, when it comes to exploring these things, then yes, I'm going to be a bit more objective about it, but that's because if we are trying to understand and get to the bottom of things, then I need to be objective in that sense. But typically, I just, I'm not bothered if that's what you believe in and you get something out of that. That's fine. Now, I understand one of the big frustrations is how it links in with lucid dreaming, and I guess what people's frustrations are there is how lucid dreaming then becomes bunged in with all this esoteric stuff, and people generally don't take it very seriously, particularly in sort of science communities. The work I do with voice hearing and lucid dreaming and the mental health stuff hasn't really been received that well by a lot of people who I've tried to speak to about it, because to them it all seems a little bit out there and hippie-ish and new agey, which is kind of frustrating because there's a lot of science to back it up, and I have my own experiences around that. So I can see why people in the lucid dreaming community, particularly toward the science side of it, get annoyed when lucid dreaming isn't taken very seriously, because it's kind of thrown together with all this other stuff. And now I know that people who believe in astral projection and out-of-body experiences get very defensive when somebody comes along and says that astral projection and out-of-body experiences don't exist, and I can understand why. And I can understand why they would probably feel frustrated with the science community, because to them it seems like the science community are doing all they can to disprove astral projection. And actually I would say the opposite is true. I think, you know, the science community aren't going out of their way to disprove it. If anything, I think they would love to prove that it exists. Like, I think all of us would love the ability to travel to different dimensions and realms and all this stuff. But obviously the people on that side of things, similar to myself, it's not that we're like out there to disprove it and we've got hatred for it. It's that thing of, okay, we need to be able to see some objective proof. We can't just go on feelings alone. Like for me, I can't go on feelings alone. You know, there needs to be some kind of experiment that yields the right kind of results. And, you know, again, it's a lot of people kind of have this thing of saying, well, you obviously haven't had an out-of-body experience, otherwise you would believe in it if you had one. And I kind of get that, but at the same time, I've had a lot of very weird experiences. Before I sat down to make this video, I was talking to an invisible man about making this video. So I'm well aware of experiences that are very out there and very, I mean, weird's probably the wrong word, but you know, I have experiences that other people don't, and they're very important to me, and so I understand the frustration when someone comes along and it feels like they're trying to invalidate what you've experienced. And as well, you know, I have lots of friends, or I know lots of people, awesome people, who are very into astral projection and out-of-body experiences, and that's their right to do that, and you know, I applaud them for wanting to explore that topic further and to talk about it. But it's, you know, it's, I guess the frustration is when people talk about it as if that is definitely what happened and there's no other explanation, I guess. Now moving on to my next point, I often find that people are very, very focused on the definition of what they've experienced rather than what they got from that experience. So you get people who really want to know if they've had a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience. For them, that definition is the most important part of it. Whereas for me, I would say the most important part is what you got from that experience. Whether it happened all in your head or it happened outside of your body really doesn't matter to me. I don't think that's important. I think if you got something from that experience, if you learned something about yourself, or you just had an amazing moment, then that's the thing you should be focused on. I don't see, I guess, I don't know, the definition for me doesn't really make a difference. And just because something happens in your head, just because something happens in a dream, doesn't mean it's any less valuable or important. I think a lot of people get hung up on that, like, you know, if it was just a dream, then, you know, it's not really that significant. But no, bollocks to that. You know, if you had a profound experience, personally, I just think that's more important than what it actually was. Now obviously some people may have personal goals or spiritual goals where the definition between these things are important. I can't really speak on that subject, I guess. But yeah, you know, I've had experiences that I do label them out-of-body experiences because the nature of them feels that way, as in, like, you know, I feel like I'm getting out of my body, I'm in my room, I go explore, I sit on my roof, I watch the world go by. But even though I label it out of body, I don't necessarily believe I left my body. It was probably just a lucid dream or a type of dream. But I don't care, you know, it's what, like I said, it's, for me the most important thing is what I got from that experience. So, to kind of summarise there, if you believe in astral projection, if you believe in out-of-body experiences, fantastic, great, you go with that. It's just that thing of people getting very defensive and argumentative and kind of breaking up and causing conflict, that's a good word, within kind of lucid dreaming circles, I guess. So yeah, you know, even though I don't strictly believe in it, I'm not going to be one of these people who says, no, it's impossible, because like I say, I don't know, but there just isn't enough, there isn't a there isn't a big enough body of evidence to support it. But that doesn't mean there can't be at some point. But anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Rara, do you have any points to make? Thank you, Rara. I think we can all agree with that. So guys, I hope I made my point clear, or as clear as I could do for me, because I get a bit tongue-tied at times. But thank you very, very much for watching. If you would like to support me on Patreon, you can. To all the people who do currently support me on Patreon, and to the people who have supported me and have since decided not to support me, big thank you. I always appreciate anything that anybody ever does. If you would like 20% off on TheRaRaRabbit products, there will be a code and a link to that in the description, so feel free to check that out. You can also buy some lucid dreaming merch and t-shirts. There will be a link to that in the description also. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Max, aka TheRaRaRabbit. I'll see you in the next video.